She speaks openly about being an adult survivor of childhood physical and sexual trauma. Her healing journey, coupled with her diverse training and professional history, which was the driving force behind her twofold mission. One, to revolutionize how we deal with trauma. Two, create safe, inclusive space for healing work to be done. This is Real Talk. Welcome to another episode, and you are watching Real Talk with Diana and our special guest, Keda Edwards. Keda Edwards is a retired from Toronto Police Service and now a businesswoman, visionary, a contributor for Forbes, and a founding member of Immigrant Women in Business. Let us welcome Keda onto the screen. Hello, Keda. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, thank you. How about you, Diana?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much. As we speak, we know in Canada right now, we're all experiencing the third wave, and a lot of us are going through a lot of mental challenges. But having said that, we're all trying to come out of these challenges that we are going through right now. But from the little intro that I gave about you, Keda, seems like you've had a very challenging life since your childhood. I would like to take you back to your childhood. Could you just take us to your childhood and tell us a little bit about, before we even go further, how was your childhood life?
Well, I appreciate the intro very much. It was very gracious of you. When we speak about childhood traumas or adverse childhood experiences, as it's known internationally, it's not as homogenous or just one thing. It's a mixture of many things. It's a mixture of joys and pains, of peaceful moments, and of trauma. So yes, I'm a person that has adverse childhood experiences, physical, sexual, emotional, and racial abuse. The racial abuse was because I lived in an area of our country that had very few Black people in it. And it also had a KKK, that's Ku Klux Klan, stronghold in the province. There was a lot of racist, very violent incidents that I lived through and I experienced by witnessing or by being subjected to it. The sexual and physical trauma is something that I speak of as well. Generally, I want to be very mindful of the fact that we probably have viewers who have experienced or are experiencing something in their lives right now that the content of this show may trigger you. And I want you to be fully aware that there are resources that you can reach through what Diana will provide for resources, through True to Soul, through Abuse Never Becomes Us. That's another organization. There are many different resources that people can reach online. If it's an emergency, please call your emergency phone number right away. Okay, but now to get back into what I experienced as a child. There was a lot going on for me growing up in a West Indian home that was very, very joyful. And underneath that, there were friends, family members who subjected me to different experiences that a child would not expect, want, or even understand. Now, what a lot of people think is, that makes an absolute nightmare, that the only thing that one can even think about is the nightmare. But that's not entirely true. For me, I sought solace in different little ways. I sought solace in my religion. I sought solace, going off by myself in nature. And to this day, I find that very consoling. I found solace in the Bible as a child by virtue of what I was raised in. I found solace in many ways. And, it's not to say that made everything okay, but it prevented me from actually committing suicide. Because as a young person, and you'll hear about young people who are so hopeless, are in a space of so much pain that it just needs to stop.
Right.
And so I did find myself in moments of that as a very, very young person. And my abuse and traumas began when I was a toddler.
Oh,
So when we think about the developmental stages,
yes.
when we grow up into something, we believe that to be normal. And I didn't actually come to understand the abnormal nature of my experiences until I was in grade 3, when here they teach good touch, bad touch, what should and should not happen. And then you bring those together and you understand the context, and all of a sudden things are being redefined.
Right.
So all to say, my childhood from toddlerhood going up into teenagehood was a mishmash of many different adverse situations that I found my own coping mechanisms to move through. And
Mhm.
one of my coping mechanisms, without even knowing it, was this type of spiritual connection, an
Mhm.
understanding that I had to really understand and hold fast to something that no one else could touch. And I
Mhm.
define that as true to soul.
Beautiful.
Um,
Mhm.
the words true to soul have been with me for a very long time. They
Yeah.
mean a lot to me. And
Mhm.
so as I grew older and I moved out on my own at quite a young age. I was in my teenage years. And, I started looking around, I started forging relationships, and I began to realize that my relationships were based on a premise of severe fear, terror, actually, with regards to intimacy, with regards to the male gender,
Mhm.
power, people in positions of power that could abuse their power. And I didn't feel able to save myself as a child. So what I started to gravitate towards was actions of saving others, helping others, supporting others, people who I felt were vulnerable. So that landed me in a lot of community advocacy work. It landed me into the role of police officer. Originally, I was
Mhm. I was going
going,
to ask you
yeah,
the next
you
question.
know,
How did that happen? What made you to become a police officer? But
yeah,
I'm sorry to interrupt right there, but I
yes.
just wanted to let the viewers know, it's not in just particular in one culture who experience these kind of uncomfortable situations since the toddler, but it happens in every culture, but we do not speak about it. There's only certain culture, certain people who are confident to come out and speak about that and give that awareness to others. And I see you as one of them who is here to share that story and to tell others, this is what I experienced. And it takes a lot for someone to come out and do that. And thank you very much, Keda, for doing that. And being in Canada, we are grateful that we have this kind of teaching for kids at a younger age that's taught in school, which is good touch and bad touch, but which is not happening in every country. And
Mhm.
this show is being watched throughout the world. So if anybody is watching this, and if you have any questions or concerns, you are more than free to connect with Keda or even with me to find out what are the resources out there that are willing to help. There are resources that are helping from country to country because we are entering into a virtual country, a virtual way of
Yes.
living right now. So I'm glad that you said. So, Keda, that is, thank you for sharing your childhood and teenage experience. And yeah, please tell us what made you to become a police officer?
Well, thank you for that question. And I just laugh when not laugh, I laugh in appreciation and wonder that we do have this virtual world where we can
Yes.
connect with people across the planet. I grew up in a time when it was pen pals and we waited for weeks and months to receive replies to our correspondence. So the ability to reach out to connect with people who may understand or to explain or ask for explanation and support and help is absolutely a blessing. So when I became aware that law played a role in helping people, I decided I wanted to become an advocate in law, and I was actually pursuing my career in law to
Mm,
become a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
And it was in the midst of that, going to school to prepare for that, because I did leave home early. Could not afford to just fly through university. I had to work in order to make money to go to university. And so in the midst of that program, I encountered some court officers who worked with Toronto police. And one of the court officers was interested in why I wanted to become a lawyer, and asked if I would be interested in becoming a police officer so that I could learn practically how to be
Mm-hmm.
an advocate, from the grassroots
Right.
enforcement into the courtroom.
Right.
And that intrigued me. It
Oh.
intrigued me a lot. So I applied, I went through all the tests, and I was successful in joining Toronto Police. Now, in the midst of becoming a police officer, working in the cells, actually, before I became a police officer, I grew to understand some of the stories that brought people into those cells, made people walk into a part of their life where they committed a crime or
Mm-hmm.
somehow violated a law.
Mm-hmm.
And I grew to understand that we're all people.
Right.
We we make different choices at different times that cause us to do different things. Now,
Mm-hmm.
this is not justifying the violent violation of other human beings. There's not a justification for that.
Mm-hmm.
But I have grown through a process for me, and in the work that I do and in the training that I've obtained, to understand that while there's always consequence and ownership and accountability that's necessary for people who perpetrate crimes, there's
Yes.
also an onus on our societies to stop perpetrating circumstances where um, these inclinations or
Mm-hmm.
actions are and behaviors are born. And what I mean when I say that is, we have societies that will demean girls, demean women, say that it's okay to objectify or make them seem less than, not worthy, that they can be brutalized, that we can be treated in a way that's less than human.
Mm-hmm.
Societies actually teach this and
Yes.
uphold this and support this,
Right.
and then act shocked when boys and men and anyone will violently violate another person, a female, a girl. Why are we surprised? We have different laws and we have regulations that allow for this, that
Mm-hmm.
say it's okay for girls not to have education, and that it's okay to treat someone like they're less than human because they've made a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
That's not okay. Whether it's a girl or a boy, a child, it is not okay.
Right.
And so for me, becoming a police officer was my choice and my action towards dealing with that, not just in an enforcement type of way,
Mm-hmm.
not just arresting people who committed crimes,
Mm-hmm.
but also dealing with the preventative side,
Right.
bringing education, bringing information, bringing understanding, shining light, allowing people to feel that they're seen and respected, whether
Mm-hmm.
we're talking about people who survive crime or those who perpetrate crime. There
Right.
are very, very few of us, Diana,
Yes.
who absolutely will be committing crime and will never stop. There are very few of us. For the
Right.
most part, it's people who have incurred harm because they've been subjected to harm, and
Mm-hmm.
they are making choices consciously and subconsciously,
Right.
and bringing themselves to a point where they're harmful to other people, and then we have to remove them from society in a way so that they no longer cause harm.
Right.
There's a human way we can deal with this. And
Right.
I know that I work with a number of different systems. I work with 8 different systems actually in
Mm-hmm.
True to Soul. And I'll get to how True to Soul came to be in a
Right.
while. But the reason why I created these collaborations between the
Mm-hmm.
systems, which include police, the justice system, healthcare, education, business, the government and public sector, entertainment, and support. And
Right.
I identify all these areas because we need these areas in order to grow, in order to heal, in order to feel like we can be safe. So
Right.
I decided we have to create bridges between all these industries so
Right.
that we know who we can trust in those industries. So
Right.
throughout my career as a police officer, I've seen a lot. I've been humbled by what I've been experiencing, what I have experienced. I've been humbled to be invited into people's homes, their sanctuaries, their place of vulnerability and safety so that I may help. And what that's all taught me is that we're all very similar. We have differences, but
Yes.
at the core, we are so much the same. And I
Right.
don't say that as in I don't see color, because I don't believe in that term. I don't believe in it because diamonds are beautiful because they have facets. We don't say, oh, I don't see the facets in a diamond. We don't
Right.
say, oh, I don't see the petals on a flower or the color of the flower. We say, because of the color, the flower is beautiful.
Right.
Because of the facets, the diamond is beautiful. And
Right.
because of our differences, we are beautiful. So when I say that we are the same, we're very similar. I say at the core of us, we each want the same thing. We want to be seen. We want to be honored. We want to be respected. We want to be safe.
Right.
The differences, yes, we accept them and move on.
Right, right, right. Thank you so much, Keda. That was beautifully, you explained so beautifully and all the connections and your experience as a police officer. But then again, I also noticed that you did retire in your mid 40s or early 40s. I'm not sure, but could you tell us what made you to retire so soon and how did that happen?
Thank you for that question, because that's the connection to True to Soul.
Okay.
So approximately, I would say maybe 6, 7 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
I began True to Soul. I started holistic training, which is aromatherapy and massage and Reiki and spiritualism many years ago, over 20 years ago. But then approximately 10 years ago, I revisited it and I began my training again.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that all of this stuff I've experienced, I had hidden. I hid it away from the world. I hid it away as a police officer. Nobody needed to know that. I had my masks. When you smile, nobody looks deep, right?
Deep,
You
right?
smile and you say nice things and nobody
Right,
wants to know anymore.
right,
But when I began True to Soul, I realized the very meaning that I have tattooed on my body that, is so fundamental to me. I wasn't being true. I wanted to run this business to help others, but there were pieces of myself that I was hiding away.
right.
So I launched True to Soul approximately 5 years ago.
Okay.
And when I did that, it became so busy. I had an office, I shared an office with a shiatsu therapist, registered massage therapist. A few of us shared an office in downtown Toronto. And it was busy, but I found that my online work was even busier. So I was doing my police work and I was doing my True to Soul work. And it
Oh,
became so difficult. It became very
yeah.
challenging
All
to
right.
do both, but they both helped each other. I
Mhm.
found that the work that I did through True to Soul benefited the work that I did in policing. I
Oh,
taught trauma recovery with Toronto Police. Many people within Toronto Police would come to me for guidance and support,
right,
formally and informally, because there's something to be said when someone understands the type of work that you do and understands the support that's needed. That
right.
doesn't always happen. Sometimes people understand the work, but they don't believe in the support. They
Mhm.
say, pain, no gain. Suck it up. That's what, police officers, right? Just suck it
Right,
up.
right,
I don't need to hear your problems. Just go do your work. But the
right.
problem is that when you have police officers who don't deal with our own traumas and our own problems, and we
Mhm.
have so much power, we can hurt people.
Right. This happens, sorry to interrupt, but this
Mhm.
happens to everybody, even for mentors, for coaches. It happens because we try to help others, but we don't take care of ourselves. And we need to take care of ourselves because we also go through same amount of pain and challenges, and we are also human. So we also need such help. Right.
That's it. Exactly. You hit the nail on the head. And
Right.
so to answer that earlier question of why I left Toronto Police so early is because True to Soul had grown to such a magnitude that I could no longer do both. And I trusted and had to make the choice. True to Soul was my choice. And almost 27 years as with Toronto Police taught me a lot. It helped teach me that what you just said, we all need to have a space that we trust to
Mm-hmm.
be able to heal, to be able to find the support that's necessary. And those industries, those 8 industries that I mentioned before, that have doctors and police officers and lawyers and psychiatrists, you know, they fundamentally affect our lives.
Right.
These people who may not have their own stuff together, their own traumas that they're dealing with, can harm our kids in schools if they don't deal with it.
Right.
Doctors can harm their patients.
Mm-hmm.
Psychologists can harm their clients.
Right.
So that's the main reason why I formed True to Soul as a network, is that for one, community members, people out here, you out here, who you're looking for someone to talk to that you can trust, someone who may speak your language, who may understand your culture, who may understand the work that you do, because police officers or doctors may not go to anybody to talk. They may go to someone who understands what they do and also is skilled in support.
Right.
So I understood that, and I created this network so community members could find really good people, really good professionals in all these industries that I mentioned, and that they trust that these people know what they're doing.
Right.
And other professionals out there, police officers, doctors, firefighters, people in business, psychiatrists, can also trust that they could come for vetted support within the True to Soul network. Because the tenets of this network, I created it on 6 tenets. One is passion, integrity, authenticity, social consciousness, the ability to show that you have a quality of service and product that is good and a good reputation. Right? These are all important because when I am searching, when I was searching, there were times when I was harmed further by the person who was supposed to be supporting me. That happened to me in medicine. It happened in therapy. And I know many people out there experience the same thing.
Right. So when you're telling this, there's a question that's arising within me is, so you have created this system to help others who would have experienced the same situation as you did, or for people who are public servers, who are serving others, who might go through the same challenges, would receive a service from you. Now, you had such a bad experience with the physical abusement and all this while you were a child, and then you moved as a police officer, and you would have seen same kind of situations, people coming through. Have you ever thought that you should create something? Now, I see this as a medicine, right? You're creating this as a medicine, but have you ever thought about looking into the fact why these abusers are abusing people? Because it's still continuing, right? It's still continuing. Have you come with a solution for those people who are actually doing this type of crazy work, like abusing or doing things that are not supposed to do? Because you would have come across these people while you were a police officer as well.
That's a huge question. And I can't say that I found a solution. What I have found is an approach. And the approaches that I have are projects, and that's what True to Soul excels at. It's one of our areas of expertise, is creating projects of collaboration. I call them interdisciplinary collaborations. Now, the reason for that is because even as I had my experiences in childhood, I didn't begin my healing process until I was well into adulthood, which means that I went through adult abusive situations as well, until I made conscious choices. And as a police officer, you will find that there are people in all these industries that we look up to, any industry, doctors, lawyers, firefighters, that also go through abuse, that have also experienced trauma, that experience it as we work. So the question that you ask is, what's the solution? It's very complex as it is simple. The simple piece is to acknowledge its existence. Many times when we talk about within our cultures, within our families even, these abuses that exist, we refuse to talk about it. We hide it. We pretend it doesn't exist. We bring our children who we know are being abused into the presence of their abusers who may be within the same family, the same social circles, and we pretend it doesn't exist.
Right.
We force children to be silent. We punish them or threat punishment if they were to say anything. Don't you speak about that person that way? Do you know who they are?
Mhm.
Perhaps the parent or the person that knows what has happened, has been told by the child, is fearful for the child, fearful for themselves, perhaps does not believe.
Mhm.
The judgment and the disbelief and the silencing is what's keeping these traumas going. We like to nail it all on perpetrator only.
Mhm.
Perpetrator is definitely key to deal with. There are other aspects, and this is where it starts to get complex. There are families and friends and societies that protect abusers and perpetrators.
Right.
There are systems and rules and regulations that remain in place that protect people in abusing and perpetrating
Mhm.
harm to others. So what I would say to that is these projects that we do in True to Soul, I bring together people that I have seen, I have witnessed, because tried, tested, and true is how we run things at True to Soul. People that I've seen, they've proven themselves, they've proven their integrity, their passion, their social consciousness, their authenticity, and their good reputation. And these people are people who have committed crimes before. These people are people who are lawyers, doctors, police officers, all those industries I mentioned. And we sit down and we talk about how we can create supports, how we can change the rules, how we can inform and educate people, how we can put out access for people to get what they need in order to heal. And not only people who have survived trauma, but people who have survived trauma and may perpetrate trauma and harm other people. We have to be able to humanize everyone so that we can see how we can help and support and prevent. So for me, prevention is a huge part of it, because I see that, many challenges that we have, they are preventable. Just like people say, diabetes can be a
Right.
preventable disease, yet we'll have still gluttony and we'll have all these things that create different diseases that are preventable. So it's the same thing here. It's similar. I'm not saying it's 100%, and it's not guaranteed to stop. But if we were to consider what mechanisms, what situations, what rules, what practices and habits allow this to still happen, that's part of what we have to look at. So allowing children to feel safe, not forcing our kids to go hug, this friend or family member if they don't want to, because there may be a reason. As a child, I would scream in different ways. I wouldn't say words. I would do things to show I don't want to. I don't want to go there. And the adults in my life that did not quite understand. And I want to impress upon the listeners and viewers and you, Diana, that I'm very cognizant of we do the best with what we have.
Right.
When we know better, we do better. And, 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago, these languages and the way we deal with things now weren't the same. It didn't exist. And so parents may not have understood that when a child is saying, no, I don't want to do that, to pay attention, to understand, no, there's a reason, no. It may be that the child doesn't want to, not in the mood, but there may be other reasons why. There may be other reasons why. So in answer to your question, not a solution, but an approach, collaboration, encouraging and creating safe spaces for people to speak out, speak about their truth, paying attention, offering support, and just connecting with people on a human level.
Okay, great. That was an amazing answer. Thank you so much, Keda. Now, this conversation is going so very well, and it's so interesting. You're sharing so much information here, and I hope viewers are getting information that is needed as well. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break, and then when we return, we're going to talk about the supports that are available out there for viewers to get the access so that they can get support as well. All right, so we are going to go into a little break. TV is super excited to announce a new chapter of Voice of Artists. As a viewer, you will be selecting the best artist and give them the title of People's Choice. In order to participate, all you have to do is subscribe to our VGTV's YouTube channel and don't miss watching our show on Sundays. Welcome back to The Real Talk. Today, I am sitting with Keda Edwards Pierre, who is sharing her stories with us and giving us information on how we can seek help, whoever is going through many challenges as she did. Real Talk is all about bringing inspiring individuals and stories that inspires and matters the most. All right, now we are going to have this interesting conversation with Keda about the resources that she's aware to give us information on those resources where we can get access if we know someone going through the same challenges or if we are experiencing those challenges to seek help. All right, let us bring Keda to the screen. Hi, Keda. Welcome back, Keda. And thank you so much for sharing interesting information. And from the way you speak, I can honestly get that healing feeling because you are so calm and the words that you're using is so healing and the way you posture yourself is very healing. So, Keda, your business is True to Soul, and you are providing network connections to others in order to seek help in whatever the challenges that they are going through. Am I right? Is there any other resources that you are aware and you might want to let our viewers know?
Oh, there are so many. So part of the reason for True to Soul Network is because it can be very overwhelming when you're looking for the right resources. So for instance, if someone were looking for anything from a psychologist, psychiatrist to social worker, maybe even a police officer to ask for some advice, they can simply come to truetosoul.com and join the community network and write to us as to what they're looking for. Anything from language to gender specific, you can let us know. And what we do is we provide a short list. But the reason why this network has been created is because I have such an extensive network of connections across the different industries. And one of them I mentioned today called ANBU, which I absolutely adore. That's Abuse Never Becomes Us. And that's run by two women, Jenny and Thartiga, who I met. I don't know how many years it's been now. It's probably been about 4 years. I came upon them because I was running a retreat that focused on providing support, a support retreat for people who provide support to other people. So counselors and social workers and nutritionists and so on and so forth. And in connecting with them, I got to understand the tremendous work that they do that's specific to the Tamil community, the Sri Lankan community. So yes, for me, encountering that was important because I'm always searching and vetting. We have a crew of people, a team, I call them light investigators. They're analysts that go through and they vet all the professionals that come into our network. So when I say tried, tested, and true, I mean it. They go through a checklist before a person is admitted into our system. So something like ANBU, I've already worked with them. I know they mean what they say and they walk their talk. These women come forward with their own experiences and they assert, they say there's no shame. And I feel the same way. This is why we get along. There's no shame. There's no guilt. Why should we feel guilty? If a person gets run over by a car, do we expect that person to get up and brush themselves off and say, oh, my bad, that was my fault? That doesn't make any sense. So why would someone who has been victimized and has survived a trauma feel guilty and shame? Again, it's because of the way things are constructed. So
Right.
Anbu, Jenny and Thashiga work very closely with people within the communities. They
All right.
provide blogs, they provide resources, they provide all kinds of options for people who are looking. You may just want to look and read. You go on their site, anbu.ca, and you'll find resources just to read. But let's say you want to speak with someone. You can speak with someone and know that they understand culturally. They'll understand with regards to language. They'll understand with regards to tradition. They'll understand what may surround a person and why they may not feel safe coming forward. They understand. And so it's the same thing at True to Soul. And it's not only within the Sri Lankan community, it's many different communities. I have a West Indian background. There are people within the network who are West Indian, from the African continent, from UK, from Canada, from the States. It's all over the world. And so, as you said, Diana, it changes from different cultures, tradition to tradition, language to language. And I know for me, there was a long time when I was not comfortable speaking with a male. And some of the challenges that I experienced were
Right.
with males in the systems that had a particular way that they saw things, right? And females, not only males, but females. Just
Right.
one more reference, Women's Health in Women's Hands in downtown Toronto is an extremely supportive environment as well for women who are seeking help. They do not allow males to come, any person that identifies as male, to come beyond um, uh, a certain point beyond the entryway in order to keep the space safe. And you can get health advice, you can get all kinds of medical support. A lot of people come into the country and may not, with regards to their citizenship or their status here, may be scared. They may be actually be told that you do not seek help because I've got your passport and no one will listen to you. There are women here in this country, in this city, who are being subjected to abuse and violent situations and being threatened and unable to go for help because they're afraid that they'll be sent away, that, you know, somehow someone will tell their abuser. Women's Health in Women's Hands is one of those spaces as well, a physical space that understands that and listens to people and, you know, does not re-traumatize people who are coming looking for help.
All right. All right. Amazing. Those were great information. Thank you so much, Keda, for sharing not only your business, but also letting us know about other services that are available, and especially for Sri Lankan community, because our community still find it very difficult to come out and speak out of what they're going through if they are in an abusive relationship, or if their children is in abusive situation. They are very, very scared to come out and speak about it because that's the culture that we are brought up in. So thank you so much for letting us know about the resources that are available, where even language barrier could be a case for us, and Anbu could definitely be a helpful resource for our community. This is amazing, and you've shared a lot of information. Is there anything that you would like to tell for someone that might be experiencing what you experienced in your life?
Yeah. You know, we're survivors. Whatever trauma does not kill us,
Right.
we're survivors, and that means nothing short of what we experience can take us down. Understand how strong you are. Understand how valuable you are to this earth. You may think, oh, it doesn't matter. No one knows, no one cares. Understand that your very breath, your very existence is important to this world. I call it the butterfly effect. We may not see the effect of us living and breathing and striving to be better and get better in our lives, but the effects go across the world. Being truthful with ourselves encourages and inspires another person that we may not see to do the same, to understand that we are worthy of happiness. All of us are. We will have our ups and downs, but we're not born to be someone's target practice.
Right.
And so what I say to people out there who may be listening, watching, is to trust yourself. Trust that how you feel is important. and trust that there will be someone out there who will see you and listen to you. And if you have it within your means to go on the internet or give us a call, come to truetosoul.com and we will find what it is that you need. Go to anbu.ca and
Right.
they will provide what you need.
This was a great conversation. Thank you for sharing your own experience and all the true stories that took place in your life, and also for giving that as an example to others. Thank you so much. Have a pleasant day, Keda,
Thank
and
you.
do all the very best with your business. Thank you for being
Thank you.
with us. This is Real Talk, where we bring inspiring individuals and stories that matters. Today, I had the pleasure of talking to Keda Edwards Pierre. Until I see you guys on my next episode, this is Diana from Canada, and please don't forget to subscribe to our channel, like and comment.